Hello everyone, this is part 17 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Dojutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Hospital room. Naruto opened his eyes and rubbed his head. He saw he was still in the hospital room and sighed. He had only been asleep for about 3 hours. He noticed that the sun had gone down and the entire village was dark. He could only think that maybe he had woken up to only go back to sleep. He then turned his head to see Kimimaro sleeping on the chair and he saw Kasumi cuddling up close to him, making the blonde smile at her. Naruto then looked at his newest ally and grinned. This must have been exhausting for Kimimaro. The blonde could relate to it. He looked up at the ceiling and just laid his head back down on the pillow. It was then that he heard the door clicking open and turned his eyes towards it. The blonde was greeted to the sight of Sume and Hana coming into the room. They saw Kimimaro sleeping and made sure to be quiet. Naruto laid up from his bed and smiled at his two Inuzuka females. "Oh Naruto-kun, you're up," Sume said softly as she and Hana sat on opposite sides on the bed. Naruto looked at the two and wondered why they were smiling so much at him. "Hey Sume-chan, Hana-chan. What's the matter? And why are you smiling at me?" Naruto asked, and before long the two Inuzuka female turned to each other, but Hana was obviously the most excited about it. Naruto still wondered what was up, but he had a smile nonetheless. "Well Ka-san, tell him. We did have to say this sometime," Hana said, and Sume nodded. The blonde raised an eyebrow before Sume calmly touched his hand. Naruto used his other hand to place Kasumi on his lap, making the dog girl shuffle quietly on his warm body. "Tell me what?" Naruto asked, and Sume's grin widened. "Well, I talked with Tsunade a few hours ago and she told me that you would be getting trained by Kyuubi," Sume said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. He wondered what this was about and made it a note to talk with Kyuubi later, but for now he was going to hear Sume talk. "Well Naruto, what I wanted to tell you is that I want to combine our clans," Sume said, and Naruto widened his eyes. Sume wanted to combine clans with him. Naruto remembered back to when he asked Sarutobi if clans could combine and the old Hokage said that they could. Naruto had really never forgotten it at all. He had always wanted to combine clans with Sume. "Really Sume-chan? You want to combine our clans?" Naruto asked, and Sume immediately nodded with no hesitation in her movements. Naruto's face formed into an ear-splitting grin and the blonde only smile. "You talked with your clan about it?" Naruto asked, and Sume nodded immediately. "Everyone saw nothing wrong with it. They said that the clan is more lively with you around, so they figured that it would be a good idea. The Inuzuka clan is already agreed to it, the only thing is for you and your other members to decide it," Sume said, and Naruto widened his eyes again. He wondered how great this would be. It would be an amazing thing, would it? Quote, "Where are you two going?" Naruto asked, making Sume and Hana giggle. "We're going to go see Kiba. He might be sleeping, but he always got up around this time, so we're going to pop a little hello then be on our way," Sume said, and Naruto nodded with a small grin. "Oh, congratulations on the success of your mission, Naruto-kun. You actually got the Uchiha back," Hana said, and Naruto blushed in embarrassment, but gave her a quick thank you. The two Inuzukas left and Naruto looked back up at the ceiling. Combing the Inuzuka clan and the Namikaze clan. "I never thought Sume-chan would mention it before me," Naruto thought before closing his eyes. It was then that he was brought out of his thoughts by Kyuubi in her sultry voice. "Who knows, maybe you'll actually be the first to combine their clans," Kyuubi said, making Naruto smile as he settled into his bed. "Maybe Kyuubi-chan. Oh, Sume-chan told me about the training. That's right Naruto-kun. It's time we continued from where you left off. I talked with your Hokage and that perverted sage and both thought it'd be best if you went with Jiraiya on a training trip for 2 years, but I told them I would train you here. It's a better plan for right now," Kyuubi said, and Naruto nodded. He could hug Kyuubi to death right now. "Thanks Kyuubi-chan," Naruto said, and before long Kyuubi smiled and sat down on the grassy mindscape that she still loved to be in. "Naruto-kun, I think it's time I told you my real name. Kyuubi is just a la, but I really want to tell you my name," Kyuubi said, and Naruto smiled with a nod. He told her to wait a second and he closed his eyes. Naruto's mindscape. The blonde walked into his mindscape and enjoyed the look it had. He hadn't been there in a while. It also made him laugh when the small kits that Naruto made for Kyuubi came up to him and rubbed their bee on him. Naruto turned his head to see Kyuubi on a tree looking into the distance and the blonde sat next to her. Alright, I'm here. Yeah, you haven't told me your real name before, Naruto said and Kyuubi nodded to him. For us Beiyu our names are important. We refer to ourselves by our les. We only give our names to those we have absolute trust in and Naruto I want to tell you mine, Kyuubi said making Naruto gasp at her. Kyuubi smiled at her blonde surprise and laid her head on his shoulder while Naruto waited for Kyuubi to give her name. It's not really feminine just so you know, but it's Kurama. My name is Kurama Naruto-kun, Kyuubi said and Naruto gently smiled at it. Kurama. So maybe Kura-chan, Naruto said and Kyuubi snickered at his try at an affectionate use for our name. But there are other instances where a Beiyu will forsake their name and would want another one. Naruto-kun, why don't you try and give me a name more feminine or at least another la than Kyuubi, Kyuubi said and the blonde grinned with a nod. He racked his brain for something to say and before long his eyes gleamed. Kanari-chan or Kana-chan, Naruto said and Kyuubi raised an eyebrow. She went over such a name for a few minutes before she understood what that word meant. It was the kanji for the word, pretty, and it effectively made Kyuubi blush. I like it. Kanari or Kurama. I think I'll go with Kanari. I'm Kanari, Kyuubi said and Naruto nodded with a K on her cheek. Kyuubi giggled and stood to her feet while Naruto got up with her. Well, when do I start training Kana-chan? Naruto asked and Kyuubi thought it over for a few minutes. Let's start in 3 days. That'll make sure that you have enough time to heal. You're perfectly fine, but I just want to be sure, Kanari said and Naruto nodded in agreement with her. It was then that the blonde noticed the word, seal, around Kyuubi's N and narrowed his eyes. Kana-chan, come here for a second, Naruto said and Kyuubi walked over to the blonde and stood in front of him. What is it, Naruto-kun? Kyuubi asked and Naruto stared at Kyuubi's N. He raised his hand and reached for small collar. His method was only temporary, so if Naruto's chakra ended then so did Kyuubi with the chi bunshin. Kyuubi watched Naruto grab her collar and widened her eyes. Then I'll trust everything to you, Kana-chan, Naruto said and was about to tear off the seal, but then a hand grabbed his and the blonde widened his eyes. He was quickly pushed away from Kyuubi, making the two narrow their eyes at who could be in this seal other than them. Naruto gritted his teeth and rubbed his head before looking up and gasped. He was staring at himself only a few years older and in a white coat. He couldn't be dreaming, so the blonde grinned. It was his father Minato Namikaze right next to him. "To-san," Naruto said and Minato turned around and grinned. He took a look at his son's attire and smiled. Well, my son looks really good in those clothes, Minato said and Naruto quickly got to his feet. It was then that Minato stared at Kyuubi, but what shocked him wasn't the fact that it wasn't a giant beast, but rather that it was a young, beautiful woman. Another trick, Kyuubi? Minato asked and Kyuubi rolled her eyes and decided to not give Minato a response. Naruto knew about this and could tell that Minato hadn't had the good time of speaking to Kyuubi like he had. Naruto quickly got to his feet and sighed. To-san, calm down. Kyuubi-chan's alright, Naruto said and Minato widened his eyes at Naruto's affectionate use of the tailed beast's name. It really shocked the Yondaime. He turned to his son to see the sternness in his eyes and could tell that Naruto knew Kyuubi a lot better than Minato ever did. Naruto, Minato said and the blonde walked over to Kyuubi. He grabbed her collar and smiled. To-san, trust me and trust Kana-chan. I wouldn't do this if I didn't trust her and love her, Naruto said and Minato widened his eyes enough to drop his kunai at the word, love. Naruto, how can you love a Beiyu? Minato asked and Naruto raised an eyebrow before smiling and quickly grabbed Kyuubi's head, then his L to hers, shocking both the Beiyu and the Yondaime. Kyuubi soon caught up with the act and wrapped her arms around Naruto. The blonde grinned as he held Kyuubi with his arms around her waist. Kyuubi let out a small M, making Naruto chuckle at her. Kyuubi blushed in embarrassment, but pouted when Naruto let go of her L. The blonde turned back to Minato, who had a blush across his face at the interaction between his son and Kyuubi. To-san, please don't hate Kyuubi. It's not her fault for what happened and I don't blame her, Naruto said, making Kyuubi blush and Minato gasp. Naruto-kun, Kanari said in shock. Minato walked towards Naruto and eyed Kyuubi, who stayed behind him. Naruto narrowed his eyes at a possible attack by his father, but his father's actions were misunderstood and Minato placed his arm on Naruto's head and ruffled his hair, making the blonde confused. You're just like your father. You must have a thing for red hair, Minato said, and Naruto widened his eyes. Kyuubi smirked and grabbed Naruto and pressed him to her body. Naruto chuckled and turned to Kyuubi. Maybe I do too, San, Naruto said, and then Minato stood to his feet, but then Naruto sat on the ground and Kyuubi followed. Minato soon sat down also and Naruto turned to him. Why me? The blonde asked and Minato sighed. He knew Naruto would want to know and he could only imagine the kind of life he put on Naruto with such a burden, but he was grown and he decided to tell his son. Because I knew you could do it, Minato said, making Naruto and Kyuubi raise their eyebrows at what Minato could mean by that. What do you mean? Naruto asked and Minato chuckled while Kyuubi allowed the two to talk. She might have been at odds with Minato, but she loved Naruto more than enough to put that aside. What I mean is that I knew you could control Kyuubi's power. I knew you would by some way use Kyuubi's power to help the world and become a great shinobi, even surpassing me. I also chose you because I couldn't ask someone to give up the child if I wasn't going to do the same thing. It really made Kushina sad and she really went on a rampage. I think I still feel the lump on my head, Minato said with a smile, and Naruto chuckled at him. Trust me, I know it's not Kyuubi's fault, Minato said, shocking Naruto and Kyuubi with his words. Yeah, I know, she's not the real problem. I know Kyuubi was being controlled by someone. If I had to say, then I'd guess it was Madara Uchiha, Minato said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes while his Shinsenagon unconsciously flared in anger. Minato seemed to notice and wondered about the look in his son's eyes, but he ignored it. Madara Uchiha, but he's the one who helped the allegiance of Konoha with our Shodaime. How's he alive? Naruto asked and Minato sighed. I wasn't able to figure that out. Maybe you can, son, but he wanted to control Kyuubi to destroy Konoha, which is all I know. He had such a weird ability too, Minato said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow along with Kanari. If Kyuubi could know about Madara's ability, then she would be able to train Naruto better against it. What was it too, San? Naruto asked and Minato narrowed his eyes at the ground. Naruto must really have wanted to know, but if Minato could help out and get his son to fight Madara, then it would be alright, he figured. It was a space-time jutsu. He was able to make himself intangible to anything that would try to touch him. You would simply be passing through nothing. It fooled me for a bit, but I got it down. The thing you need to know, Naruto, is that if you do fight him, you must predict when he will attack you and strike 1 second faster, Minato said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. He had to predict Madara's attack a second faster or he wouldn't hit him at all. I know it sounds impossible, but you can do it, son. Although I still can't let you take off the seal to Kyuubi. She can't be allowed to roam free, Minato said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. The last thing he would want to do was fight his father for the freedom of Kyuubi, and he really doubted he could win by himself. He wasn't even S-ranked in the bingo book, yet. Well, San, right now, even if you try anything with the seal, I'm just going to use the method that I've always used to get Kana-chan out. It's worked multiple times, and while I'm nowhere near your level of Fuinjutsu, I know this method works, Naruto said, and Minato narrowed his eyes. Naruto was able to bypass the seal enough to get Kyuubi out. Look, San, I love Kyuubi-chan. She's the first real friend I've had other than Hokage Gigi, Ayami-chan and Tsukiya Jisun. Besides, I'm going to do what I think is right, and I think it's right that I let Kyuubi-chan out, Naruto said as he touched Kyuubi's collar, but Kyuubi stopped him as she gently placed her hand over his. It's alright, Naruto-kun. I'm happy that you trust me enough to take it off, but it might be better if I do stay to the seal. You know, I'd like to roam free like I used to, but the seal actually brought us together. You gave me the name Kanari and I loved it. Kurama is still my name, but you gave me a name that made you think. Maybe even Minato brought you to me. Seal or no seal, Naruto-kun, I'm not going anywhere, so there's no need to take it off, Kyuubi said, and Naruto saddened his face. Minato watched the conversation in awe. The blonde never thought that Kyuubi would this affectionate. Kana-chan, Naruto said, but nodded and moved his hand from the seal. The blonde sighed and turned to his father. Alright, San, thanks for telling me that. I'll definitely get the person who did this, Naruto said, and Minato nodded. Alright Naruto, just watch it. I was actually supposed to appear if you went past the 8th tail of your Jinchuriki form, but since I appeared now I guess I can't repair the seal since my chakra's fading. I wish you the best of luck son, Minato said and soon faded completely leaving Naruto and Kanari in the field. I'm sorry Kana-chan, Naruto said and Kyuubi smiled as she gave Naruto another K. Don't worry Naruto-kun. It doesn't matter to me. Now get some sleep. You'll need it tomorrow, Kyuubi said and Naruto nodded then faded out of existence of the mindscape. The blonde appeared and noticed it was still dark. He sighed and slumped to the bed before sleep claimed him though there was a slight smile on his face. Somewhere in Oto, Orochimaru was seething mad as he laid in his chair. He was using every last nerve to not go on a rampage right then and there. Sasuke hadn't made it to Oto, no much worse, he was taken back to Konoha. He was pissed off to also learn that Kimimaro went against him and helped Naruto and his team bring the Uchiha to Konoha. He always thought Kimimaro would be loyal to him for what he did. When Kabuto told Orochimaru that Naruto had managed to change Kimimaro to Konoha, the Snake Sannin immediately wondered if the bone user would divulge all of his secrets. He even heard that Tayuya of the Sound Shinobi 4 was captured while the others were Kabuto. Orochimaru yelled and immediately Kabuto came and bowed to his master. Yes Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto asked and Orochimaru gritted his teeth while more than half his body was wrapped in bandages. He was so pissed off that he threw a vial at Kabuto, but it passed the medic nin and shattered into the wall. How could this happen Kabuto? They were some of my most elite guards, Orochimaru said and Kabuto nodded while making sure not to piss off Orochimaru anymore. I understand Orochimaru-sama. How would you like to proceed? Kabuto asked and Orochimaru sighed before smirking. If Konoha wants to play hardball then we will too. Kabuto make preparations for our newest project, Orochimaru said making Kabuto widen his eyes. He was about to go, but soon he saw Orochimaru glare. Well it seems that you're still struggling as always, someone said behind him. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes as he turned to see a man with a dark cloak and an orange mask with one eye open. It had the full Sharingan active while Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Who are you and how did you get in here? Orochimaru asked. Details that needn't be concerned right now. It turns out that the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is stronger than you thought, the mysterious man said while Kabuto made a chakra blade and dashed for him. The man sighed as Kabuto passed through him and hit the wall. What the? Kabuto said while the man turned to him. Don't be an idiot. I could KO you if I wanted, but I want you to join me Orochimaru, he said and immediately Orochimaru scoffed. I work for no one, Orochimaru said and the man smirked behind his mask. Don't be like that. I can get you Sasuke, but it will take a few years. Just you wait and you'll have the Uchiha's body. For now you and I will be partners and we'll join an organization that you're all too familiar with, he said and slightly laughed. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes and watched the man slowly vanish into a small space-time hole. What organization is that? Orochimaru asked as this man piqued his interest in the idea. As he faded away the man chuckled. You should remember Akatsuki, he said and vanished. Orochimaru widened his eyes and so did Kabuto. He remembered that Orochimaru was once a member of Akatsuki. Orochimaru-sama, are you really going to go along with this? Kabuto asked, dusting himself off. For now I will, but we'll keep an eye on him. I can't take Itachi, but if it's only a few years to get Sasuke-kun's body then I can wait, Orochimaru said then laughed with his voice echoing throughout the hidden tunnels of his base. Next morning, Naruto exited the hospital with a sigh of relief along with Kimimaro. He had been released thanks to Tsunade and Shizun's word and with his injuries completely healed. However, as soon as Naruto and Kimimaro left the hospital they were confronted by a purple-haired Anbu who told Naruto that Kimimaro was to come with her to the interrogation department. Kimimaro turned to Naruto and the blonde nodded. He decided to go with his newest clan member and it was quite a walk, but they made it and the Anbu knocked on the door. Soon Anko opened it and immediately she brought Naruto into a hug making the blonde blush while Kimimaro and the Anbu sweet dropped. Gaki, you're okay. I was so worried about you. Who would help with my training if you kicked the bucket? Anko asked as Naruto was crushed between her gloriously soft globes. It's good to see you too Anko-chan. Did you make it through the entire week? Naruto asked and Anko nodded. Damn right I did. And so did Nai-chan. We're waiting for your other training methods now, Anko said, and Naruto nodded, but he wondered if this would become trouble for the blonde with his other training with Kyuubi. It's no problem, Naruto-kun. Really, I can train you while you train Kurenai, Anko, and even Fu. I'm not letting you go to waste here, Kyuubi said, which made Naruto sigh in relief, but there was also some nervousness in there. Mitarashi-san, I've brought Kimimaro-san here, the Anbu said before Anko chuckled and grabbed the Anbu's mask and tore it off, revealing to Naruto the drop's gorgeous face behind it, making him gulp. Anko swung her arm around the female Anbu's shoulder and grinned. Come on, Yugao. Stop being a stick in the mud. Learn to enjoy life, Anko said, and Naruto saw the beautiful Anbu's face sadden a little more before she sighed and walked away. Don't do that again. I'm an Anbu, I can't go around showing my idini to everyone you know, the now known Yugao said and shunshined off. Naruto and Kimimaro turned back to Anko and the woman grinned before guiding him inside. Don't mind her. She's Yugao Azuki. She's a little bit stubborn since her life has been depressive as of late, Anko said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. He then gasped and headed for the door. Sorry Kimimaro, Anko-chan, but I've got to go see Tsunade Barkin about something, so I'm going to go. I'll be back later, Naruto said and vanished in a fire and lightning shunshin. I've got to learn how to do that, Anko said before she and Kimimaro walked off to go through the Bone User's interrogation. With Naruto and Kasumi, the blonde walked from the interrogation department to the Hokage mansion as Kasumi poked her head out of the blonde's jacket. Yawn, good morning Naruto-sama, Kasumi said as she licked his cheek. Naruto chuckled and took Kasumi out of his jacket and placed her on his head like always. It's good to see you're up, Naruto said, and Kasumi smiled with a nod. Her having been made half-human by Kyuubi along with most of Kyuubi's chakra being inside her, she was able to regenerate almost as fast as Naruto, so that was all good for her. Where are the others? Kasumi asked, and Naruto sighed with a lonely expression. They're still in the hospital. I don't think they'll be coming out for another few weeks. They don't have our regeneration after all, Naruto said, and Kasumi nodded with a smile whimper before Naruto patted her head. Come on Kasumi-chan. It'll be alright. They are my precious comrades after all, Naruto said, and Kasumi lightened up with a yip of happiness. I only hope that Kimimaro will be alright, Naruto said as he entered the Hokage mansion. The blonde sighed as he was subjected to multiple people bowing to him and the various callings of Naruto-sama or Namikaze-sama. It really pissed Naruto off. The only ones who could get away with that because it was more endearing and real than this were Kasumi and Kimimaro. Not that Naruto found Kimimaro's words endearing, no, he was straight all the way, but at least Kimimaro said it as his own way of addressing Naruto, so the blonde didn't mind it at all. He could only grit his teeth and say, hello, in his pleasant voice, which irritated him. All his life they hated him, and now because he's the son of their valued Yondaime, the blonde is now worshipped. Well, he didn't need it in the least. He would just grit his teeth and let it leave his mind the second he got away from them. Naruto walked up the stairs and came knocked on the door. Come in, Tsunade yelled, and the blonde twisted the knob and opened the door. Naruto came in and saw Sakura, Lee, and Shino in the room. The blonde raised an eyebrow, but paid it no mind as he walked up to the Hokage's desk. Oh Naruto, you're already here. I was just about to go get you. I let you go from the hospital, but it slipped my mind about the news I was supposed to give you from Kumo. Well, it's good that you're here anyway, Tsunade said, and Naruto nodded. What did Naruto-san do against Kumo? Lee asked, and Naruto rolled his eyes. The blonde turned his head to see Sakura, and she had a small scowl on her face, but the blonde ignored it for now. I bet he did something stupid, Sakura said, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. So that was the thanks he got for getting Sasuke. Oh, the blonde would remember that. He so would. So Tsunade Barkin, what's the matter? Naruto asked, and immediately Tsunade pulled out a letter and handed it to the blonde. Naruto took the note into his hands and read it over, as did Kyuubi and Kasumi. To Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, we have heard that you were the one who defeated Raymond Hichazi. He was our second strongest shinobi, and we express our grade for his defeat. I, the Raikage of Kumo, would like to express my grade formally to you at your earliest connivance. I would also like to propose a marriage to one of our shinobi in the hope that we can form a treaty with Konoha. We know of your status as a Namikaze and a clan head, so we know of the CRA placed on you and want to tell you that it won't be a problem. As per to the defeat of Raymond, the rest of his possessions are rightfully yours and we would like to deliver them to you. If you are okay with then we would like to meet when you reply. That is all. Raikage of Kumo. Naruto stared at the note and narrowed his eyes. A marriage proposal. How the hell could he get married already? He also wondered what Sume would think. Raikage did say that the CRA was good so he wouldn't have worry about losing Sume, but the idea of marrying someone other than Sume or the girls he loved was some kind of joke. Well Naruto, what does it say? Tsunade asked. The blonde looked at the note a little longer like his head was trying to come to terms with what the note was telling him. Shino, Lee, and Sakura waited in silence or at least tried. I bet Naruto Baka is in trouble, Sakura said and before long Shino placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder making the blonde look at him. Namikaze-san would you please tell us what it says? Shino asked and Naruto sighed. Kasumi ruffled Naruto's hair and Kyuubi told him to go on ahead. Naruto breathed deeply and sighed then told them all. It says that they're happy for my defeat of Raymond Hichazi and said that since I K him then all of his possessions are mine to do with what I please and he would like to deliver them formally, Naruto said making everyone widen their eyes. Tsunade narrowed her eyes while Lee and Shino seemed to respect Naruto, but Sakura's scowl seemed to deepen. Anything else? Tsunade asked and Naruto nodded. Shino, Lee and Sakura paid attention as Naruto cleared his tea. He said that he'd like to propose a marriage between me and one of his shinobi to solidify a treaty between Kumo and Konoha, Naruto said making Tsunade widen her eyes. Lee followed Tsunade's example while Shino corrected his glasses. Liar, Sakura said to herself and immediately Naruto gave a heavy sigh. What's your problem Sakura? Naruto asked and the pink-haired banshee turned to him and tried to hit the blonde, but Naruto easily sidestepped her punch. You almost K Sasuke-kun. He's still in the hospital. You didn't have to go that far, Sakura said and Naruto gritted his teeth. You're the one who cried to me to bring him back and I did. It's not like he would have come back if I simply asked him. I had to fight. Mind you that I was tired from the fight with Akira the day before and I wasted even more chakra just getting to his A. You should be lucky that I brought him back at all if not in pieces, Naruto said making Sakura gasp. The blonde widened his eyes and sighed. He then turned to Tsunade and bowed. Sorry Bar-chan. I didn't mean to explode in your office. May I go now? Naruto asked. Tsunade nodded and took the note from Naruto. She asked him if she should reply and the blonde sighed. He didn't want to make that decision now, but it didn't matter anymore right now. Yeah Tsunade Barkan. Tell them I said thank you and before I agree to that marriage proposal I'd like to talk it over with them with Tsume-chan present, Naruto said and received a nod from the Godime Hokage showing that she would do what he wanted. Naruto thanked her and left the office. Tsunade turned to Sakura and narrowed her eyes at the pink-haired girl. Sakura that wasn't right. Remember, you did cry for Naruto to bring him back and he did. Haku, my apprentice, is in the hospital because it was her mission and because she wanted to help you. You should apologize not to just Naruto, but also the rest of his team, Tsunade said and Sakura huffed her annoyance. With Naruto exited the Hokage mansion with an irate expression on his face. That was the last time he'd risk his to bring back Sasuke for that damn bee. If she wanted Sasuke then she would fight him and then maybe she would change her tone. Naruto-kun forget about her. For right now it's time that you go home and be ready to go into the forest of death for at least a week. I don't think that reply to Raikage will be done until about 2 weeks so until that time I'm going to train you to control my chakra and also help you in something that you should know about your heritage as an Uzumaki, Kyuubi said and Naruto nodded in agreement with her. Alright Kana-chan. So should I tell Fu-chan and Ka-san to come with me also? Naruto asked and Kyuubi nodded. She could teach Naruto a lot of things, but Kushina would be able to take his kenjutsu to the next level with his elemental swords. He had only found 3, but if there were 2 more then Kyuubi would be more than happy for Naruto to have them all. I'm going with Naruto-sama. I want to train also. That last fight showed me my limits and I'm gonna break them all, Kasumi said sounding excited and Naruto chuckled and patted her head. He soon dashed off towards his home. He would also have to work in controlling his new bloodline from Kimimaro. He also wanted to come up with some new things with Haku. It was all making Naruto shiver in excitement. Namika's compound. Kushina and Fu sighed as they felt the emptiness of the compound. They were excited that Naruto and his group came back and the mission was a success, but they heard about their injuries and it made the two girls tense, Fu especially. Currently Fu and Kushina were sitting in the living room on the couch with Kushina offering Fu some tea to calm her down. Fu thanked Kushina and took the warm cup into her hands and sipped it. Come on Fu, Naru-kun will be fine. He was trained by Kyuubi after all, Kushina said and Fu widened her eyes. She turned to Kushina and gasped. She had known that Naruto told her to keep it a secret from his mother that he was trained by Kyuubi and even more that Kyuubi could roam free. Fu of course agreed to it and never said anything, so this generally surprised her a lot. How did you know? Fu asked and Kushina chuckled. She was a Jinchuriki at one point. She had often seen Naruto talking to himself or his Bayu, but the smiles on his face told Kushina that he might have had a good relationship with Kyuubi even if she didn't really believe it. When she was a Jinchuriki, her seal was so tight that she had never talked with Kyuubi before. The only reason Kushina hadn't approached Naruto about it was because she trusted her son to make the right choices and she knew he would handle the consequences if it came to that. I have my ways, Kushina said and simply sat back with a grin on her face. Fu nervously chuckled at her and continued to sip her tea in silence. It didn't take long for both to hear the sound of the doorknob turning and both saw Naruto come through the door surprising them. Fu immediately shot up from her seat and tackled a surprised Naruto into the ground. Naruto-kun, Fu said and clung to him like her life depended on it. Naruto smiled and rubbed her soft green hair and sat up. Hey Fu-chan. How are you? Naruto asked and Fu smiled and sat up. She grinned and simply hugged Naruto again, but what happened shocked everyone. Hey Car-san, how are you? Naruto asked and Kushina immediately grabbed her son into a hug. Naruto smiled and hugged his mother back. Fu watched the simple exchange between mother and son for a bit until the two decided to let go of each other. We heard you managed to bring Sasuke back. Congratulations on the mission Naruto-kun, Fu said and Naruto grinned with a nod of appreciation. He then looked at the books that Fu had on the floor about Fuinjutsu and smiled. Well, you've been busy Fu-chan, Naruto said and Fu nodded. She had been practicing nearly the whole time that Naruto wasn't around. She only had a grasp of it and Naruto smiled before he stood back up to his feet. Alright you two. It's time we got serious. I realize that I still need training and can still improve. Fu-chan, it's time to start your Fuinjutsu training and Car-san, I'm ready to begin our Kenjutsu lessons. Tsunade Barkan said that I've got 2 years to make this work so I don't want to waste any time. We should pack and head to the Forest of Death. We'll be there for at least a week, Naruto told them. Fu grinned and Kushina smirked. That authoritative tone that Naruto used just sent a small shiver down their spines, but the two nodded and were more than happy to nod and go get ready. Kushina ran to her room and Fu to her own. Alright Naruto-kun. Let me out, Kyuubi said and Naruto nodded. The blonde made the regular chi bunshin and his hands glowed with the white seals as he s them into the seal, releasing Kyuubi from the small prison. When the Bayu was released, she stretched her body and smiled. Alright Naruto-kun, I'm going on ahead. I'll meet you at the Forest of Death soon. I'll keep in touch with you through telepathy, Kyuubi said and Naruto nodded as she vanished from the room. Naruto grinned as he was about to walk up to his room and head up to pack, but soon there was a knock on the door and the blonde raised an eyebrow and headed for the door. He opened it and the sight that he took in was Hinata at the entrance. She was blushing as always and Naruto smiled at her. Hey Hinata, how are you? Naruto asked and Hinata gulped while she looked at the ground. Naruto chuckled and found her nervousness to be slightly cute in a way. Hello Naruto-kun. I was wondering if you'd train me, Hinata said, making Naruto widen his eyes at her. Hinata found his gaze to be nerve-wracking and she gulped again. Well, I don't mind training someone, but why? Naruto asked and Hinata gently smiled at him. Because why, you have the Byakugan also. I'm not as good as Neji-Nisan or my little sister, Hanabi. Kurenai-sensei said that if I'm having trouble then I should ask you for help. She told me how she improved thanks to her training with blindfolds and her taijutsu improved a bit. In fact, she said that she'd like you to continue training her, but I still wanted to ask if you would train me also, Hinata said and Naruto looked at the ground. He saw the match between her and Neji and while Hinata was good, he knew she could really compete with Neji. Alright Hinata-chan, you have good time. I was about to go training with some others. You should get your father's permission before coming, but if you can then I'll train you to use it, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded with a slight thanks and walked away. Naruto sighed and rubbed the back of his head. Why am I training everyone? I might as well just bring Kurenai-chan and Anko-chan, when she's done, to the Forest of Death also. Odds are we all might need training, Naruto said to himself and closed the door and walked up the stairs. Naruto walked into his room and stared to seal his clothes into his scrolls. He only took the essentials, which was 3 pairs of shirts and 3 pairs of pants. He probably didn't need his jacket, so that would be fine. Naruto sighed and sat on his bed for a second. He wondered how much stronger he'd be under Kyuubi's training, but he also wondered if he'd be good enough to teach everyone. Naruto knew his training with Kurenai and Anko was a success, but he wondered if there was anything to improve on. Let's be serious here, he might have been the Yondaim's son, but even he had troubles every now and then. Oh well, I'll just do things as I go along, Naruto said and jumped to his feet. The blonde then heard humping. He turned his head and the sight shocked him. If he wasn't awake then he wouldn't have believed it. His swords were humming next to each other. The blonde reached out his hand and touched all 3 of them. The blonde felt their humming and they soon settled down. He raised an eyebrow at each of them and realized that he knew next to nothing about them, but Raymond did. When Naruto fought him, Raymond was able to instantly realize that Naruto's sword was the embodiment of fire, which Naruto didn't even know. Now Naruto was happy that he would be getting some of Raymond's things. It would give the blonde the time to go over his notes if he had any on the swords. Soon it was Fu who brought Naruto out of his stupor with a yell. Naruto-kun, Kushina and I ready to go. Fu yelled and Naruto sighed. Well, I'll think about it later, Naruto said to himself and picked up his things. He placed them all into his backpack and walked downstairs. He saw Kushina with a backpack also and Fu with the travel pack she always had with her. Alright then, let's go now. I'll keep a clone here just in case someone else comes back, Naruto said, making Kushina and Fu nod in agreement. The 3 soon left the house and dashed off for the Forest of Death. With Sasuke. Sasuke was quietly sleeping in his bed after his fight with Naruto. However, there were Anbu guards placed at the door since they didn't want anyone getting any funny ideas about the Uchiha. Sasuke still had to face a trial for leaving Konoha, but they couldn't very well conduct the trial while he was passed out. In the room with Sasuke was none other than his 2 main girls, Sakura and Ino. They were both staying by the Uchiha's side. Ino was really there only for support. Contrary to most belief, after the Chunin exams Ino had stopped acting like a fangirl and started to actually become a Kunoichi. She still liked Sasuke, but that had lessened to a degree as she stared to realize that Sasuke wasn't the greatest in the world. Sakura, how long do we have to stay here? Ino asked in a hurry. She hadn't planned to stay long since she had other things to do and one of them wasn't staying near Sasuke all day. Sakura looked at Ino and scoffed. How can you be so cold, Ino? Sasuke-kun needs us by his side, Sakura said and Ino rolled her eyes. Sakura, don't you need meet with your team or something? Asuma-sensei, Choji, Shikamaru and I have to meet in like 10 minutes. Gai-san gave Tenten, Lee and Neji the week off since Neji is in the hospital because of Sasuke. You should have seen Tenten's face when she heard about Kiba. I heard she hasn't left his bedroom all that time. Heck, even Kakashi-san gave Haku, Naruto, and Kiba their time off since Naruto only left today while Kiba and Haku are still resting, Ino said, and Sakura narrowed her eyes when Ino said Neji was in the hospital because of Sasuke. It wasn't Sasuke-kun's fault. It was this stupid curse mark. It's controlling him, Sakura yelled and Ino sighed. Whatever, forehead. You have your view and I have mine. Well, I got to go, Ino said and opened the door. Oh, and I'm not gonna be around for a while. Tsunade-sama agreed to make me her apprentice along with Haku, so I'll be tied up for the time being, Ino said and left. Sakura narrowed her eyes and brushed a hand on Sasuke's face while she simply admired the Uchiha's face. Suddenly Sasuke's eyes shot open, startling Sakura as he got up from the bed. Sasuke looked around the room and noticed he was in the hospital. He immediately noticed Sakura also, or rather he was forced to notice her since she was right up in his face with a smile. Sasuke-kun, you're awake, Sakura yelled and hugged the Uchiha. Sasuke looked out the window to see he was back in Konoha and seethed. Damn Dobe. Now I'm back in here, Sasuke thought and quickly told Sakura to get off him. The pink-haired girl obeyed and Sasuke immediately stood to his feet. Sasuke-kun, you shouldn't get up. You're still hurt, Sakura said, and Sasuke rolled his eyes. I'm not so weak that I need you to help me or tell me that. Just stay out of my way, Sasuke said and came up to the door. He was immediately met with two Anbu guards who grabbed him by his arms and held him tight. Hey, let go of me, Sasuke yelled with his Sharingan flaring. The two Anbu were hardly scared of the genin and looked at him with their ki flaring only to scare him a little. Sasuke Uchiha, you are confined to this room until your trial, they said, and Sasuke widened his eyes. Trial? What trial? Sasuke asked, and the two Anbu narrowed their eyes at him. Sakura also widened her eyes and ran to Sasuke's aid. Wait, Sasuke-kun hasn't done anything wrong. Why does he have to have a trial? Sakura asked. The Anbu stared at her. Maybe if you've forgotten, but Sasuke Uchiha left the village and that makes him a criminal. He is confined to this room now until we receive word from Hokage-sama, one of the Anbu said, and put Sasuke back in the room. The Uchiha seethed and huffed as he sat down. His day really started off wrong. With Kiba. Kiba groaned as he woke up. His head was him as he laid up from his bed. The Inuzuka immediately winced and noticed the multiple bandages on his body. I don't remember taking this much punishment, Kiba said with a smile, and then he heard a groan. He saw Tenten next to his bed sleeping the day away, and the Inuzuka chuckled as he looked at her calming face. She really is a pain and stubborn, but that's what I like, Kiba said, and immediately Tenten woke up and looked to see Kiba awake. Kiba, you're awake, Tenten said and hugged Kiba, causing the Inuzuka to wince in pain. Tenten gasped and apologized, then backed away. How long was I out? Kiba asked. Tenten sighed and rubbed the back of her head. At least 3 days if not 4, Tenten said, and Kiba sighed. He knew he wouldn't be leaving the hospital just yet, so he knew he and Haku was still here, but Naruto was totally different. Where's Naruto? Kiba asked, and Tenten chuckled. He left a few hours ago, Tenten said, and Kiba sweet dropped. He just couldn't beat Naruto when it came to getting out of the hospital, could he? It was then that he narrowed his eyes and looked out the window. And Sasuke? Kiba asked. Because of the mirror's reflection he could see the slight looks of disdain on Tenten's face. She was kind of overprotective of Kiba, but he didn't mind that. He actually found it to be rather cute. He's in another room. I don't know what's going to happen, Tenten said in a less than pleased voice. Kiba chuckled with a nod and laid back on the bed. Geez, I swear if he gets off easy I'm gonna go on a rampage, Kiba said, and he heard a yip from Akamaru who was next to him on the bed. Kiba smiled as he petted his friend's head, making Tenten giggle. Not before me, Kiba-kun, Tenten said as she laid back in the chair. It was then that Kiba grinned and turned to Tenten. Say, Tenchan, did you ever hear about the nurse who managed to make the patient better in only a few days? Kiba said, and Tenten blushed. She grew a tick mark and Kiba on back. Oh, you must be better already, Kiba-kun, Tenten said as she Kiba's back harder and harder, making the Inuzuka cry out his pain. He made it a note not to joke with Tenten like that ever again. With Haku. Haku sighed as she laid against the wall in her hospital room. Tsunade had told her that she would be fine and could leave in a few days. Haku was ready to leave the hospital and begin her training with Tsunade. She was told that Kakashi had given him all time off and he would be doing a couple of B-rank missions for the time being with Guy and Genma. So that left Haku to deal with things herself. Luckily for her, she was already acquainted with the body and most of its contents. She could say that she was a moderate medic nin already. She had already used some of her knowledge of the body to quicken healing. If all went well, then she could be out by tomorrow or the next day after that. She had also been told that Naruto left a few hours ago and chuckled when she remembered his stamina, regeneration and natural fear of hospitals. So I've got nothing to do for the next 2 days. Let's see, what can I do? Haku thought and grinned. She rummaged through some of her stuff and took out a book on the wonders of Kenjutsu. She looked at her sword and gripped the handle. I guess some reading won't hurt, Haku said with a simple smile, decided to begin her reading on Kenjutsu. Back with Naruto. The blonde and his 3 companions finally made it to the Forest of Death. Hinata had been granted permission by her father to go, granted that Naruto took care of her while she trained there. Naruto got a mental note from Kyuubi that she was ready inside and told them to come to the far left of the place, which was where the dangerous animals stayed away from. Alright, is everyone ready? Naruto asked the three ladies. Fu nodded, as did Kushina and Hinata. Naruto grinned and the three passed the gates and ran through the trees. The place that Kyuubi told Naruto about wasn't that far off, so they would get there in about 15 minutes tops. For now they were all taking the place in. It would be a week until they were done, and Naruto had every intention of using that week. To also not waste time, Naruto and Kyuubi agreed that the blonde would be trained in his sleep. To Kyuubi, that's the reason why she wanted to train Naruto. She could put in double the training time that Jiraiya could give Naruto, so if 2 years was for Jiraiya, then Kyuubi would be giving Naruto something like 4 years. 15 minutes later. Just like Naruto thought, the blonde and his group made it to the spot that Kyuubi told him about. It was an open space with a waterfall. Perfect for training, bathing and all that good stuff. Alright, we'll worry about pitching up camp later. For right now, we'll just get right into it, Naruto told everyone. The girls nodded and immediately placed their things down on the ground. Fu and Kushina were used to camping, but Hinata wasn't, or at least Naruto didn't think she was, so the blonde made that a note for later. Alright, is everyone ready? Naruto asked. Fu grinned and went through her backpack. I'm ready here, Naruto-kun, Fu said, taking out some books. Kushina nodded and so did Hinata. Naruto-kun, come into the woods. You'll find me about 10 feet from where you guys are, Kyuubi said, and Naruto nodded with her. Alright, Kana-chan, Naruto said in thought and crossed his hands. Chibunshin no jutsu, Naruto yelled and made 3 clones. Alright, I'm going into the woods for a bit. I'll be back later, Naruto said and ran off. The 3B clones turned to the girls and smiled. Alright, I'll work with Fu-chan on her Fuinjutsu. Let's go over here, Fu-chan, Naruto said and took Fu to a more private spot. The other two turned to Kushina and Hinata. One took out its elemental swords and turned to Kushina. Ka-san and I will work on Kenjutsu over there, the blonde said, and Kushina ran off with her son to begin his training. Looks like it's me to teach you the Byakugan, Hinata. I hope to work well with you, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded also. This was going to be a good day for training. With the real Naruto. Naruto ran through the trees and appeared in another part of the forest. He saw Kyuubi on a tree and the Bayou smiled as she somersaulted to the ground. Ready to begin, Naruto-kun? Kyuubi asked. The blonde nodded with a grin and Kyuubi smiled. Alright then. I'm going to start teaching you about your clan and its connection to the Sage of Six Paths, Kyuubi said, and Naruto's eyes gleamed. The Sage of Six Paths created all known forms of ninjutsu. He was also the wielder of the mythical Rinnegan Dojutsu. The blonde would have called it fake, but he knew better than that to know he just wasn't sure if it was real or fake, but Naruto listened intently until Kyuubi asked a question. Tell me, what do you know of the Sage of Six Paths, Naruto-kun? Kyuubi asked, and the blonde sat on the ground for a bit and thought, with Kyuubi following him. I know he's the one who is basically the creator of for all ninjutsu. He was said to have the Rinnegan, but that's all I know, Naruto told her. Kyuubi nodded with a sigh. She had to curse that the sage wasn't as common anymore as back in those times. Then let me tell you that that's all true about him, Kyuubi said, and Naruto widened his eyes. There was such a thing as the Rinnegan. Alright, I'll backtrack a little. You know of the Uchiha and the Senju, right? Kyuubi asked, and Naruto nodded. Yeah, they're the founders of Konoha with our Shodaime, Hashirama Senju, and Madara Uchiha, Naruto said, making the last name extra spiteful. Kyuubi nodded and continued. That's right, they're the founders of Konoha, but they are also the 2 ancestor clans of the Sage of Six Paths, Kyuubi said, and Naruto gasped. So the Senju and Uchiha really were big names, well, much bigger than before. Naruto could only imagine if Sasuke found out about this. His ego would go through the freaking roof. When the Sage of Six Paths both the Senju and the Uchiha wondered who was the rightful heir to the Sage of Six Paths. They weren't sure, so they fought it out in a war that lasted for a long time through most of their lives. It wasn't until your Shodaime, Hashirama Senju, and Uchiha Madara signed a treaty to stop fighting and build a village instead where they would be in charge. So they made Konoha, Kyuubi said, and Naruto nodded in understanding. But what does that have to do with me as an Uzumaki? Naruto asked, and Kyuubi giggled at her container's impatience. Getting to it, Naruto-kun. Now then, as you know or rather should know, the Uzumaki were the greatest Fuinjutsu masters. In fact, their Fuinjutsu was mainly what made them a powerful clan. They could do so many amazing things with the seal arts. In time, they were even feared for all their techniques. The only non-Uzumaki who could match up to them was your father, Minato Namikaze. Now the Uzumaki were still a small clan, but they had agreed to a treaty with Konoha and the Senju. It was then made that Konoha would be complete allies with the Uzumaki clan of Azu no Kuni. So much to the point that their swirl symbol was made an actual part of all Konoha attire, Kyuubi explained, and Naruto took off his jacket and widened his eyes to see that she was right. He had the red swirl on the back of his jacket. Now that he thought about it, Naruto saw a lot of swirls on the back of Jonin vests. He always wondered what they were about, but Kyuubi continued. So it was agreed that Konoha and Azu no Kuni would have a marriage proposal. One of your grandmother, Mito Uzumaki, and your Shodaime, Hashirama Senju. If I can recall, then Mito was my first Jinchuriki, with your mother being the second and you the third, but anyway. It was then that the Senju bloodline had been passed down to both Uzumaki ancestors and Senju ancestors. In a way, you and Tsunade are more than likely to be distant cousins or something like that. Now it is claimed that the Sage of Six Paths had his Dojutsu passed down to the Uzumaki also, but it was never proven because the Uzumaki were wiped out from fear that they would try to attack anyone else. There is no record of any other Uzumaki except for your mother and you. Now I'm not sure if the Shodaime and Mito had any kids, but if they did, then there is a slim chance that you also inherited the Shodaime's wood release, but don't know it. It was his famed wood jutsu that he somehow used to control the Beiyu. He also had a brother who was considered the greatest Suten jutsu user of his time. He was the only person able to take actual water particles from the air and use them for his techniques. No one has been able to do that since, Kyuubi said, and Naruto gulped. This was so much to take in. He would never be able to handle all of this if he was younger, but Kyuubi had one more surprise for the blonde. But let me tell you one other thing. The Sage of Six Paths had 3 other Kekai Genkai. They were the Yin release, Yang release and Yin Yang release. Yin release is techniques that are based on the spiritual energy that governs the imagination. It can be used to create form out of nothingness. Yang release is techniques, based on the physical energy that governs vitality. It can be used to breathe life into form. When these two come together, they create the yin-yang release, which is basically the creation of all things with the combination of yin release and yang release, Kyuubi said, and if Naruto was surprised before, then he was nearly having a heart attack. This was all amazing. Naruto never knew this before in his life. But what makes you think that I have all of these? It's like you said, it hasn't been proven that any Uzumaki has any of this, Naruto said, and Kyuubi nodded. That's because they were wiped out before anything could be found, but you, Naruto-kun. You or Sasuke or even both of you could be the sole successor to the Sage of Six Paths. I know it could be you, Kyuubi said, and Naruto's grin widened. He would be so awesome in 2 years. Well, Kana-chan, what are we waiting for? Let's get to training, Naruto said, and Kyuubi nodded. Alright, Naruto-kun. I'll train you to the best of my abilities, Kyuubi said, and Naruto nodded. Oh, Kana-chan, Naruto said, bringing Kyuubi to him. Yes, Naruto-kun, she answered. If it's possible, I'd like to go to Azu no Kuni when I get the chance, Naruto said, and Kyuubi agreed with him. Consider it done then, Kyuubi said, as both she and Naruto stood to their feet to begin the blonde's training. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.